welcome back to the Nerf Report. We got a great show lined up for you, chocked with a ton of video game news. We got 6 brand new video games that we need to introduce you to. We got brand new Nintendo Switch 2 details. PlayStation won't quit live services just yet. The mystery of Black Myth Wukong skipping Xbox has finally been explained. And we almost got a Doom Halo crossover episode on Secret Level. All of this and so much more on this week's episode of the Nerf Report.
Can you see me?
Let's just film the video.
Zip it! The ghost of Macho Man Randy Savage is here!
Oh my god! Yes, negativity sells, and it sure as hell makes clicking your thumbnails a lot easier. But I, as a gamer, as a nerd, as a creator, I am so tired of being upset for clicks.
Are you listening?
Strangers from distant lands and friends of old, you've been summoned here for another episode of the Nerf Report. Happy New Year. The first Nerf Report episode of 2025. I am so grateful for you all to join us. We got a good show. A really good show lined up for you this week. Usually as like the New Year's happen, I'm like, there's not enough news to talk about. There was a ton of gaming news that happened since the last time we spoke, so we're obviously going to dive into that, but before we do that, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. Today's episode of the Nerf Report is brought to you ad-free thanks to the Nerf Gaming Friends. That's right, you too can become a Nerf Gaming News best friend or casual friend for the low price of $1.99. Not only do you help support independent games media, but you keep the lights on here on this show. And on top of that, we're not just saying, give me money, give me your money, give me money. No, we're giving you something in return as well. For the extremely low price of $1.99, you get access to shows like The Daily, which is our video game news roundup that gets posted every single day. And coming out next week, our brand new show called Coming Soon, which dives into video games media such as television, movies, and kind of a little more of a long-form show over there. If you are a Nerf Gaming News best friend or casual friend, you get access to Coming Soon for 48 hours before it goes to the public. And this show is going to be the start of kind of some seasonal content here, where every quarter we have a new show that's going to be coming out for the Nerf Gaming Friends, just as a thank you for helping us to make this show possible. Now, before we dive into these new Nintendo Switch 2 details, we do have a new video game I want to introduce you to. This one is a 3D puzzle platformer developed by Space Boy. Check out Hannah. A new patent from Nintendo suggests that this Switch 2 may feature AI upscaling. Yes, 2025 is here, and welcome back to the countdown to the Nintendo Switch 2. We are weeks away from finding out what this console is going to be, and this story actually comes from Tom Phillips over at Eurogamer, who uncovered a brand new patent from Nintendo that uses technology similar to NVIDIA's like DLSS, and it essentially like upscales the graphics using artificial intelligence. And it's my understanding that Nintendo would essentially use this technology to basically say, hey, we can't put 4K games on our cartridges, but we can upscale them to 4K when they're running on the console. Now, definitely worth noting here, this patent was originally filed back in 2023 by Nintendo, but it wasn't published until this week, which has a lot of people speculating the fact that, like, man, we must be getting close. We're getting close to the Switch 2 reveal because Nintendo's putting all their cards on the table. And, you know, some have suggested, like, this isn't a big deal, right? Like, this isn't really something to worry about, but, like, the concept is like, hey, you got Nintendo Switch cartridges. Those things are maxed out at 32 gigabytes of storage. So there's no way you're putting a full 4K experience on that cartridge. It's just not happening. So by Nintendo doing this upscaling, you might be able to take like a 1080p game and put it on that cartridge and then upscale it to 4K. 100% acceptable, I think, in the world of Nintendo where we're at today, which, having said that, I already can hear the console platform warriors are like, it's not true 4K. Nintendo baby's playing at 1080p. Upscaled! Yeah, my 2025 prediction right here. Every single Nintendo video is just going to have upscaled in the comment section. And look, where I land on this is like, maybe it's because I grew up with the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo 64 and the Super Nintendo as being like my introduction to gaming, but like, graphics resolutions, pixel counts, even like frames per second, that doesn't make a good game. Now, it makes a beautiful game. I will 100% admit, games that have 4K resolution, I mean, they're beautiful. But being a beautiful game doesn't make it a good game. And I have played plenty of ugly-ass video games that were incredibly fun that I absolutely adore. And I think going into like the Nintendo Switch 2, that 100% is going to be my mentality. It's like, yes, this isn't going to be as powerful as an Xbox Series X. It's not going to be as powerful as a PlayStation 5. And for the love of God, it's obviously not as strong as my personal gaming computer, but it's able to run games and it's able to upscale. And if that's Nintendo's kind of push, sure. As long as the games are fun, we're good. But if we get a bunch of like upscaled, you can't even barely play them video games, yeah, that is where this is going to be an issue. Now, most weeks here on the Nerf Report, we only have one Nintendo Switch 2 story to talk about. However, this week we have two because it's 2025 and things are heating up. So if you're not aware, photos of the Nintendo Switch 2's motherboard were leaked onto Reddit. And let's pull that image up real quick. And my, oh my, look at that sexiness. Yep, that is a motherboard, my friends. You got some circuits, you got some resistors, you got an NVIDIA something right there. You got a USB port, that's beautiful. And boy, oh boy, hot damn, that is some sexy ass soldering, if you ask me. And look, I don't mean to make fun of people who are like genuinely excited to see a motherboard. For me, it doesn't do it for me, right? But whatever floats your boat, that's perfectly fine. I think I'm just at a point where the hype for this console, the Nintendo Switch 2, is so high. And the drought of good information from Nintendo has been so long that I think that anything that pops up is like big news. Like, oh my God, we got a cover. We got a screen protector. Like everywhere you look, there's Switch 2 news. And I guess I'm kind of getting exhausted. Like I'm at the point where I'm like, I don't want to see any more leaks. I don't want to see any photos of motherboards. I don't want to see any photos of guys holding it on the left and right. And I'm like, is it real? Is it not real? Did AI make this image? I just want to see the console. I just want to hear the announcement. I just want to hear Nintendo tell me how broke I am going to be for the next 3 months. So anyway, Nintendo Switch 2, rumored to be announced sometime here in January. We will obviously be paying attention to this very closely over the next couple weeks. Also, if you're not subscribed and you're not a Nerf Gaming News friend, please do so because we do cover the news as it breaks on the day it breaks over on the daily. Definitely worth checking that show out as well. Now, before we jump into our next story, diving into the world of Black Myth Wukong and why the game isn't available on Xbox, we do have one more video game to introduce you to. This one is a 3D platformer from Purple Rays Studios that looks very similar to last year's Game of the Year. Without further ado, here is a brand new video game called Boti Byteland.
Every computer is different. A unique array of parts, programs, and processes. And every bit of it is constantly changing. This is Buddy.
A new bot? Are you knew it.
Welcome to Byteland, buddy.
Your moves are so cool, Boti. Don't you wish you had moves like that, Zero? Woohoo! Yeah!
Try to hit the notes, Boti.
Come on! Delete those nasties!
You've got this, Boti. Keep on boxing.
Yeah! That showed him!
I don't think there's any arguing, but Black Myth Wukong was one of the best video games of 2025. And a lot of gamers are looking at this game, and they're seeing all the hype, and they're seeing all the demand, and they're asking the question, like, why was this not on Xbox? And luckily this week, the game's director pretty much came out and just gave us like a final answer as to why the game is not on Xbox. For those unaware, Black Myth Wukong is an action RPG from developer Game Science. The game is heavily rooted in Chinese mythology, with the game's story primarily being based on the journey to the West. You essentially play as the Destined One, and on your way, you embark on this epic journey and you fight legendary enemies. In fact, this game was so well received and so many people loved it that it was nominated for Game of the Year last year at the Game Awards, and I believe it walked away with 2 awards. I want to say it was like Action Game of the Year, and maybe Player's Choice was the other award it went to. Either way, the game did really well last year. But when it came out, the game was only available for PC and for PlayStation, essentially skipping Xbox, which led a ton of gamers to do what gamers do best, is they speculated the living hell out of this. Maybe Sony paid for the exclusivity. Maybe it's a timed exclusivity and we'll get the game eventually. Maybe Xbox is shutting down. Maybe the Xbox isn't powerful enough. Or perhaps Xbox is giving up on exclusives, so other developers are giving up on Xbox. Again, say what you will about gamers, but they are really good at going from like 1 to 11 in like 2 seconds. Now, the common sense speculation to why Black Myth Wukong maybe skipped Xbox this time around was that the game couldn't run on the console, specifically talking about the Xbox Series S. Because you might not be aware, but when games come to the Xbox platform, the games not only have to run on the Xbox Series X, which is the most powerful console ever made, but it also has to run on the Xbox Series S, which has slightly reduced power and slightly reduced hardware, which in the case of this game, maybe the game runs on the X, but it doesn't run on the S. And look, that's just the theory that I subscribe to, but these conspiracies are wild. There are so many theories out there, and they're getting so out of hand that it even got to Xbox's Phil Spencer, literally the guy in charge of it all, with GameFile Steven Totillo asking Phil Spencer, Steven, do you know if you're getting Black Myth Wukong on Xbox at some point? Phil Spencer, I do know. Steven, are you getting it? Phil Spencer, laughing. I can't announce that. Which there's 2 schools of thought here. One, this type of information doesn't make it to Phil, right? And Phil's just like trying to run the day-to-day operations of the company. Or 2, he does know why the game's not on the platform and it has nothing to do with hardware, and maybe it is truly an exclusivity. And to their credit, Microsoft did feed into this by telling Forbes, as we have said before, we are excited for the launch of Black Myth Wukong on Xbox Series X and S and are working with Game Science to bring the game to our platform. We'd prefer not to comment on the deals made by our partners with other platform holders, but we can confirm that the delay is not due to the Xbox platform limitations that have been raised to us. So right there, Phil Spencer and Xbox are saying this has nothing to do with hardware and is 100% the fact that PlayStation paid for this game to be an exclusive. Well, fast forward to this week, January 2025, the year of our Lord Grand Theft Auto 6, and we have a quote from the game director of Black Myth Wukong, who posted on Weibo saying, although there were no big surprises, I still felt a little emotional after getting all of them. Everyone's fighting power is so terrifying, but the only thing missing is the Xbox robe. It seems a bit wrong, but the 10 gigabit of shared memory, it's really impossible to get it without several years of optimization experience. Crying emoji, crying emoji, crying emoji. So, for those of you following along at home, Xbox is saying it has nothing to do with hardware. This is a paid exclusive by PlayStation. Meanwhile, the developer on this side of the globe is like, hey, this has nothing to do with it being a paid exclusive. We can't get the game to run on your console. What a way to start off 2025, am I right? And look, I guess where I fall on this one is like Black Myth Wukong eventually will be on Xbox. I have zero doubt in that. If this is truly an exclusivity deal and Game Science is just trying to throw everybody off the trail, then sure, no big deal. This is not a big story. We have exclusivity all the time. Xbox does it, Nintendo does it, PlayStation does it. Everybody in the gaming industry does this, so this isn't really a big story. However, if this is not a paid exclusive and a developer is struggling to bring a modern day game to both consoles, that's a big issue. Because that means there's going to be other developers out there who can't bring their game to the Xbox Series X because they're being pulled down by the Xbox Series S. And if developers begin to skip bringing their game to the Xbox due to hardware limitations, then yeah, it might be time for Xbox to figure out something different because they're going to need an internal solution to fix that. And I don't know if Xbox tries to do something like, hey, the game can run natively on the Xbox Series X, but if you want to play it on the S, it's available via the cloud. Kind of what they do with the Xbox One, right? Or does Xbox completely change the console, completely rewrite the operating system, and start opening up some resources to the developers? I mean, could they rewrite the OS to make sure that there's more RAM available for developers to play their games on the Xbox Series S? Because there are a ton of Xbox Series S owners that are like, why did I buy this console? And I think that's been a story that we've kind of been watching since the announcement. We've always thought like, man, the X is cool and everything, but it's always going to just be held back by the S because it's going to have like duality between the two consoles. But again, I understand this sounds like it's a big issue and that I'm hating on Xbox right now, but I'm not. I mean, we are talking about Microsoft, the company who survived the Red Ring of Death, something that would have put 90% of companies completely out of business. I have full confidence that Xbox not only will get Black Myth Wukong running on the console, but this whole like it'll run on the X but it won't run on the S, I totally think Xbox is going to get that completely taken care of. Now, from the world of Xbox, I do want to jump into PlayStation as they gave us a huge roadmap to 2025. But before we do that, we do have a new video game to introduce you to. This one is a VR social experience where players can connect, perform, and create lasting memories. Check out StageTime. Despite flops like Concord, Sony has told Famitsu that they are not giving up on live services, which I cannot wait to dive into this because I love PlayStation single-player games. PlayStation live services, we've got some room to grow, I think, is safe. So anyway, Famitsu sat down with PlayStation's CEO of Studio Business Group, Herman Holst, who essentially talked about like PlayStation's roadmap for the next year, right? And one of the key conversation points was, how do you rate PlayStation's performance in 2024? To which Herman responded saying, PlayStation Studios is a place where talented creators gather, and we are happy that Astrobot, created by Japan's Team Asobi, is receiving praise around the world. This is a very important title in our portfolio. PlayStation Studios aims to expand the PlayStation community through games such as Astrobot and LEGO Horizon Adventures, and we also plan to release great titles such as Ghost of Yotei in the future. We hope that more players will continue to enjoy our works. We are also continuing to grow our live service division, with Helldivers 2 being a huge success in forming a strong portfolio. The Studio Business Group is focused on rigorously selecting games that provide great experiences to players. We are also focusing on expanding our IP in new areas, such as a movie version of Ghost of Tsushima. But then this interview takes a turn, because Famitsu goes straight for the jugular with this next question. Famitsu asked Herman Holst, on the other hand, Concord was shut down in about 2 weeks, and the closure of 2 studios, Neon Koi, Firewalk Studios, was also announced. As the COVID-19 pandemic calms down, the games business is changing rapidly. But how do you analyze the causes? Also, will there be any changes in your strategy for live services and mobile games due to the closures of these studios? God damn! Famitsu just pulling out the journalism card and asking the hard-hitting questions. All right, cannot wait to see how Herman jumps into this. Herman, the game business is constantly changing due to the various factors, including technological advances, new genres, and ways of playing. However, one thing that remains constant is people's desire for great entertainment experiences, and attentions to games continue to grow. However, this has also created competition, and like many companies in the industry, we have had to make changes to our business to solidify a more sustainable operating base. Going forward, we will continue to focus on developing live services titles along with story-driven single-player titles that our players want. We are learning a lot as we establish the ability to develop high-quality live service titles with Sony Interactive Entertainment. Helldivers 2 attracted many players through continuous content provisions and achieved results that support the potential of live service titles. In mobile games, we want to develop PlayStation IP in a way that maximizes synergy with the console. To that end, we will first focus on collaborations with external development studios. In November 2023, we announced a strategic partnership with NCSoft to collaborate in the mobile field. In October 2024, Destiny Rising, a mobile game based on Destiny IP, was announced, developed, and published by NetEase Games. I think it's important to take a pause here and point out a couple things. While Concord definitely was a loss for PlayStation, Helldivers 2 had a solid 2024, right? And for Sony, I think you have the tale of two stories, right? You have a company that looks at companies like Epic Games, right? And they're like, yo, these guys are killing it with Fortnite. We want part of that Fortnite. We don't want to be a Fortnite platform. We want to be the Fortnite, right? That's PlayStation's MO. And so they're like, we're going to get into live services. So they invest heavily into the live service market without really knowing like what's good, what's bad. And I think you have the tale of two tales. On one end, you have Helldivers, which was a complete success for Sony. It's a fantastic live service video game. People are still playing it, and the content is flowing very well. However, on Concord, it was like a fart in church. Nobody wanted to play that game. It got killed in 2 weeks. And I think you as Sony have to realize that, like, hey, the live service market is there. It's something we can capitalize on, but we got to be cautious the way we do it. And in many ways, it's interesting, because the reason I see a lot of people saying Concord failed was because it was $49.99, right? It cost money. Helldivers 2 also cost money to play. Helldivers 2 is not a free-to-play video game. So it's like, yes, we have these live service experiences that are free to play, and they do very well, but on one side, Helldivers 2 starts a narrative that says, hey, if your game is good enough, and it can last the test of time, and it has a really good loop of gameplay, people are going to play it. And not only are people going to play it, but they're going to pay $39.99 to be a part of it. The other thing that I took away from there is that Sony really, I think, has realized that single-player games are their bread and butter. And that's a huge win for me. I know we talked about it a couple weeks ago, but like I would love to see Sony invest very, very heavily into more single-player narrative games every single year. Like I want more Uncharted, I want Last of Us 3, I want another God of War, give me another Order 1866. I mean, give me a SOCOM. Like, there are so many games that Sony could create and make them fun games that it's not happening, and it's super sad. So it sounds like that's going to be changing. Ghost of Tsushima 2 and Ghost of Tsushima TV show, that's a massive W, man. I cannot wait to play the Ghost of Tsushima 2. I just beat the first game last year. Absolutely loved it. The TV show, I'm sure, is going to be great. If it's anything like Last of Us, it's going to be fantastic. Destiny mobile game. I don't know how I missed the story. And Destiny is a very sensitive subject. I was talking to my wife about it a couple days ago. I love Destiny. I think it's such a great game. But having become a father and being a dad, my time to do quests and raids and do these missions, it's not possible. I don't have time to do like the RNG and the grinding. Like, it's not possible. So the fact that we have a Destiny mobile game, I'm literally going to check that out. Once we get off the show, they said it was released. So I might have to install this, check it out, because I'm very interested in how that performs. And maybe instead of playing the Pokemon trading card game, I add Destiny 2 to my mobile game, and I'll just travel with my phone and be able to play it on there. So that's not all that we have from Herman Hulst. There was one last thing that I thought was really interesting. Herman Hulst was asked about PlayStation releasing exclusives onto the Nintendo Switch, notably talking about like the Lego Horizon Zero Dawn video game that launched this year. And Herman said, live service titles are released on multiple platforms because it's important that multiple players can play the game together. For other titles, we consider and decide the policy based on whether it's best sales format for the players and the company. So going off that and everything else he said, single-player games sound like they're going to be PlayStation 5 and then eventually come to PC or Steam. Live service titles are going to be everywhere, but then you're also going to have like a middle ground for exclusives that are like, no, this is coming to Nintendo, this is coming to Xbox. Really kind of a strong format for PlayStation, and I hope it succeeds for them. So anyway, really, really cool dive into like the future of PlayStation. I thought it was kind of cool to read into that. Wanted to share it with y'all. Now, next up, we're going to be talking about Secret Level and how we almost got a Doom and Halo episode. However, before we do that, I do want to introduce you to one more video game. This one is a top-down action bullet hell roguelike from Moving Pieces Interactive. Check out this brand new video game called Entropy Survivors. We almost got a Halo episode of Secret Level that featured a crossover from Doomslayer. Yeah, did not expect this story this week at all, but essentially the series creator Tim Miller sat down for a Q&A session with Collider, and they published the article this week. And I do want to, before we jump into this, I kind of do want to take a second just to say, like, Secret Level is so freaking good. Like, I think anytime you have a show that releases 15 episodes, and 13 of those 15 episodes absolutely slap, that's really good, right? 2 of the episodes, not my favorite, but like 13 of them, ridiculously good. The Mega Man episode, awesome. Sifu episode, fantastic. The Crossfire episode, one of my favorites. And then the Exodus Odyssey, I thought was such a masterpiece. And it's honestly like a masterclass in storytelling in such a short format. But Secret Level, in my opinion, It has raised the bar for video game TV shows, and kudos to everyone that worked on this game. I think it's really good. I mean, my only gripe is that the episodes are so short, and I understand that that's like part of the show, right? You got short episodes, but God, man, it's so good. Like, Mega Man was an 8-minute episode, and I was so disappointed. I was like, give me more Mega Man, man. How are you just going to give me 8 minutes? And I understand, like, leave me wanting more, but you're only giving me 8 minutes of Mega Man? Like, come on. Anyway, this Q&A talks about a lot, but one of the topics turned into, like, hey, what episodes almost happened? And this is where the supervising director, Dave Wilson, jumped in and basically said, it's tricky because it's not like we're the first folks to realize, like, hey, these video game IPs are awesome and we should turn them into other things. So a lot of them have pre-existing deals, and that's the beauty of the series. Prime Video essentially just puts the episode on the platform. Everything else, the characters we come up with, the storylines we develop, they belong to the developers. So there was no land grab for the series, which I think is incredibly forward-thinking of Amazon. There were some IPs that we approached that were having a really big moment at the time, and Hollywood came a-calling. And 3 years later, nothing has happened. We were going to make an episode for them. It was going to be awesome, but Hollywood happens. And then Tim Miller jumped into the conversation saying, I get a little chafed when I read online and they're like, hold on, these assholes took Spelunky when they could have taken Halo or something like that. And I'm like, man, you think we didn't talk to Halo or something? And Wilson closed out the conversation saying, the creative director at id Software is a good friend of ours, and so are the folks at Microsoft. So we made a big plea because one of the things both Tim and I would love to do is something that isn't currently available in the games, like crossovers. We wanted to make a Master Chief Doomslayer crossover episode, and I spent a whole weekend crafting this impassioned letter of my childhood, and it's exactly what Tim said. They were just like, nah. This is where I have two schools of thought, because one is a fan, right? I'm like, man, can you imagine an episode where Master Chief just lands on Mars and he has to team up with the Doomslayer and they're just killing and slaying a bunch of demons? Like, sign me up. That sounds like episode of the year. But then on the other side, I look at it from a business perspective and like content creation and IP, and I'm like, well, yeah, obviously. Yeah, Doom and Halo are extremely popular franchises. It's no wonder that this has already been taken, right? Like, they are probably tied up in very deep contracts, not only for movies, but for television and also for animated series. So I get that id Software and Netflix wouldn't be able to do this because as awesome as it would be, it's not worth the legal headache of trying to get through all the lawsuits and like getting permission and not getting permission and seeing where you can get the show out. This does raise the question because we do know it got renewed for a second season, so a second season of Secret Level is coming. Doom and Halo are definitely like top S-tier episodes that I would love to see on this show. But I would also like to see a Frogger. I think a Frogger episode with the style of Secret Level could be very clever. I think it would be very funny. I would also like to see Nintendo show up to the battle and maybe give us Metroid or a Star Fox. A Star Fox Secret Level would be sick. And yeah, Mega Man Episode 2. Maybe make it twice as long this time. Give us a 16-minute episode of Mega Man. But I don't know. Like, I also land on this whereas like, as cool as a Doom and Halo crossover would have been on Secret Level, I feel like those franchises need to have their own standalone episodes. Like, give me Doomslayer in a gritty world, similar to the Warhammer episode where he's just like slaying and ripping and tearing apart demons, and then have another episode that's very like Space Marine themed and have that be the Halo one. Give me Master Chief, give me Cortana, put them all in there. I don't know. I just feel like putting them together is kind of like a disservice because they can both stand alone so perfectly on their own. As much as I'd love to see crossovers, I think standalone would be so freaking cool. But anyway, I mean, I also have to assume here that seeing the success of the first season and how much people are absolutely loving this show, that a lot of developers and maybe studios who are like, no, you can't use our characters. They're going to be coming back this time and knocking on the door and be like, so, why don't you do an episode for us, huh? Anyway, Secret Level, it's available right now on Prime TV. I highly recommend you check it out. And I guess this is a good time as ever to kind of talk about this. Next week, our brand new show Coming Soon launches here on the channel. It's got a 48-hour exclusivity to Nerf Gaming members, but after that, it's available for the public. But we're diving into video game movies, video game televisions, video game animated series, and the first one we're talking about is Secret Level. We're talking about all 15 episodes, which ones I liked, which ones I didn't like, what I want to see more of. So if you want to hear more about the show and get my personal review on it, check out Coming Soon, which will be available first for Nerf Gaming friends next week. Now up next, we have some brand new details about Marvel Rivals Season 1 of content. But before we do that, I do have another video game to introduce you to. This one is a new extreme biking video game. Check out Legends BMX. Marvel Rivals is teasing the Fantastic Four as coming to the video game. Yeah, in a new image posted on X, let's pull this up real quick. The official Marvel Rivals account has showed an image of New York, the Baxter Building, the Thing, the Human Torch, Reed Richards, the Invisible Woman, and Herbie the Robot. And man, Marvel Rivals had a killer 2024, and now that we're in 2025, we clearly have new content coming. Season 1 is right around the corner. There's a lot to be excited about. Specifically, this social media post says, "Get ready to welcome Marvel's first family in Marvel Rivals trailer on January 6th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. Be there." Now, last I checked, I think Season 1 is rumored to start on January 9th. So I have to assume that not only will this trailer introduce the Marvel family, but also like, here's the new characters coming to the game, and we'll have like a Fantastic Four themed battle pass and some other stuff coming to the game. And I think it's also interesting because like with this photo, New York clearly going to be a playable map as part of this expansion. And I mean, last week's show, we discussed the XOX leaks over on X, reporting that New York was going to be a planned map as part of her data leak. So it is cool to see like that part of it came true. Now, the other part of their leak was saying that Deadpool was coming to the game. I guess we'll wait for the trailer on January 6th, but no Deadpool in this announcement. I mean, it could still be happening, but it's just not happening yet. However, I do have to say, you know, Mr. Fantastic being in the game, I think is really fun. I think that his powers add something really unique where he can like stretch and maybe he could like slingshot people across the map. The Thing, I think, has the potential to be like a dope tank in the video game. And you're just clobbering all the other enemies. Like I think that he and Hulk, I just want to see people just go at it. Just have like 1v1 Hulk versus Thing. Who will survive? But the other thing, Dark Horse in this announcement is Herbie. What is that robot? Like, is that robot going to be a playable character in Season 1? That's what I want to know. And we'll find out soon. January 6th. It's coming very, very soon. Corner will obviously be covering it on the daily here on the show and diving into all of Season 1 content that's announced during the week. So if you want more Marvel Rivals news as it develops, we'll obviously be talking about it on the daily for the Nerf Gaming members, but also we'll be talking about it on next week's show as well. But yeah, big news from the world of Marvel. Cannot wait for January 6th. However, before we get there, we have something else to kind of quench our thirst. We got one more video game to talk about. This one is a top-down twin-stick shooter from East Asia Soft Limited. Check out The Legend of Cyber Cowboy. All right, sorry for the change up, but we got a little bit of breaking news here. Minecraft 2 has just been announced. And again, this is developing while we are filming. We're in the studio right now. And I just got a text message saying, check my DMs. And sure enough, there is the announcement. So what we have is Notch, the creator of Minecraft, has taken to X and posted that they are working on Minecraft 2. So let's pull up this tweet real quick. I basically announced Minecraft 2. I thought that maybe people actually do want me to make another game that's super similar to the first one, and I'm loving working on games again. Good to hear that. I don't super duper care exactly which game I make first, or even if I make more, but I do know I'm making one. So I figure I'd absolutely be willing to give it an honest shot in the form of a spiritual successor to Minecraft, and put up a poll about it. My intentions are to be clear and honest about it, saying that spiritual successors are usually kind of, washed up, tragic. The things I'm fearing my next game is going to be anyway, and try to push myself to avoid. So why not do things that people do want and are willing to give me somehow even more cash for? Yeah, Minecraft is like... Yeah, the amount of money generated from Minecraft is nuts. So I love that they're actually making kind of a joke here. I intend for the money to be spent for good, but my God, have I learned I fail a lot. Winning is failing until you make yourself succeed. Oh, and I also very much value being a man of my word, so I also intend to do this in a way that in no way tried to sneakily infringe on the incredible work Mojang team is doing and that Microsoft is successfully doing the Microsoft shitification about. I'm sorry, did he write shitification? That Microsoft is successfully doing the Microsoft shitification about. And I respect them for doing that. It's their job, and they, from what I understand, let the studio do things their way, which seems very fair to me. All right, so there's the post, right? Notch is essentially saying they want to work on a Minecraft 2 that will be outside of Mojang and will be outside of Microsoft. It's going to be interesting to see what they can do. I mean, like, do you stay with the blocks? And what is considered like part of that brand? Can he build a game that is blocky without it infringing on the Microsoft the patent and what Microsoft's doing? I'm just going through the Twitter page right here to try to figure out what is going on, and I assume the poll, so here it is, we'll pull this up as well. Notch is asking, honest and legitimate request for feedback for once. The new game I'm passionately working on is currently set to be a traditional roguelike, ADOM, NetHack, etc., mixed with a tile-based first-person dungeon crawler, Legends of Grimrock, and Eyes of the Beholder. But then I got to thinking, that maybe there are people who like my work but might not share my taste in retro nostalgia and would prefer for me to make a spiritual successor thing to Minecraft. And I mean, sure, I'd take that cash. So market research, I'd be happy to oblige either way. Which one would you be happier with? I love uncursing potions and make Minecraft 2 Boomer. And of course we are selecting Make Minecraft 2 Boomer. And at the time of filming this with over 120,000 votes, we are sitting at 72.3% saying Make Minecraft 2 Boomer. And I love uncursing potions at 27.7%. Very, very interesting development here. And I'm really interested to see where this goes. So Notch followed up to the post basically saying, please vote potion. You can do this, Zoomers. It's actually super cozy. Kind of feels like Stardew Valley, but more diagonal door kicking. So it seems like he definitely would like to do something else, but Minecraft 2 is coming. And yeah, I mean, I think it's really, really, really interesting. And again, I guess the part of this that I'm interested in is Minecraft is, to my understanding, the ownership belongs to Mojang, and Mojang is obviously owned by Microsoft. So I don't know what Notch owns, and I don't know what assets or what coding Notch has, but I do have to question, can you really patent like blocks? Can you really like copyright blocks? Like, I mean, I guess essentially what they're doing is just bricks, right? You could create that side, and would Minecraft 2 maybe move from bricks to like a step forward. Either way, this is developing, and we're going to be talking about this a whole lot more as it develops over the year. It sounds like it's early stages, so do not expect Minecraft 2 anytime this year, next year, or even 2027 at best. Plus, who knows? I mean, it sounds like there's some issues between Notch and Mojang and Microsoft, but maybe Microsoft looks at this and Mojang looks at this and they're like, yo, you want to make a Minecraft 2? Let's throw some serious cash behind this. Let's throw some serious money and let's get this going. Now, admittedly, I'm not the biggest Minecraft player. I've definitely played it, but I don't know the history here between Notch and Microsoft and Mojang. So let me just reach out to my Minecraft expert real quick to see if I can get them to answer a couple questions.
Yo.
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing well. Hey, I'm in my studio right now, filming a video. Are you good to talk for a second?
Yeah.
I got a question about Minecraft.
Okay.
So Minecraft 2 just got announced.
Okay, I didn't even see that.
So it's not Mojang, it's not Microsoft. Notch. I have no idea who this guy is. Who's Notch?
Notch is the original creator of Minecraft.
Okay. So he sold it to Mojang, or he started Mojang?
I think he sold it to Mojang.
Okay.
And, yeah. And then he was still a part of it, and then I believe he left when they sold to Microsoft.
Okay. I'm assuming is there like bad blood there?
It's hard to say. Notch is a character.
Okay.
And he says whatever he wants, so he's kind of like canceled, if you will.
Okay.
Been a couple times.
Okay.
That's all I really know.
So he basically posted this, and I'll read you this part. He basically says he wants to make Minecraft 2. It's like a spiritual successor to the first game. He needs to raise money for it, so he's telling people like he's going to need cash for it. But he basically said like he's going to do it to not infringe on Mojang, and that Microsoft is successfully doing the Microsoft shitification. And I was like, oh man, has Microsoft really been destroying Minecraft? I mean, I guess I'm not that familiar with it.
They charge for a lot of stuff. So on the non-Java side, so the Bedrock edition, like you can buy worlds, you can buy skins, you can buy like modded stuff. Whereas on Java, like all that stuff's free.
Okay.
So that's probably what he's referring to.
Okay. And then I guess when it comes to Minecraft, I mean, what is there like, are there trademarks there? Like, does Microsoft and Mojang own like the blocks, or is that like fair game for him to make a Minecraft 2?
I'm assuming they don't, because there's a lot of block games. Like there was a PixArk, which was like a Minecraft version of Ark. That was up for a long time. They never got sued or anything, so... Huh. I mean, I'm assuming if they use, like, Minecraft official textures and stuff, then yeah, probably.
Right, or like any of the original coding or anything like that, you'd probably be screwed.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a lot of, like, pixelated versions of games.
Okay. Huh. And I guess the last question I have for you is, like, if there was going to be a Minecraft 2, what would you want? I mean, would you want it to stay pixelated, or would you want it to like upgrade the graphics, or would you want it to look different, or just add more like depth to the overall game?
I think that the one thing that Minecraft lacks from a full game perspective is adventure.
Okay.
Like, there's no adventure in Minecraft, and that's what makes modded Minecraft so fun, is because they add adventure to the base game. So you have the building, you have the farming, you have all of the standard fun stuff that you can enjoy in Minecraft, but there's no real adventure. And they've been trying to do that, like they added the Deep Dark, and they added the new biome, which I can't remember what it's called, but that just came out. The Creaking is like a new mob that like hunts you when you're in that biome.
Sounds
so
cool.
They're trying to do it, but it's just not going well. Most of the things you go and you do once, and then you don't ever have to do it again, because you get the one reward that you need to go there to get.
Gotcha. So there's not like a kind of like a grind to it where you could basically do it like 3 or 4 times in a row.
Yeah, if you're not a builder, or like you're not trying to build crazy large farms, like there's no end game for you in Minecraft.
That's true. Well, that's a good point.
Like, and that's why there's only a certain market for people that continue to play it and do stuff on it.
Interesting. So I guess with you saying Notch is kind of like a pariah and kind of like canceled in a way, I would assume, because like my guess was like he's like, oh, I need money, and I'm like, why wouldn't you just go to Mojang and Microsoft and just be like, I want to make a Minecraft 2? I would assume like he's canceled to the point where like Microsoft and Mojang are like, we don't want anything to do with that.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Microsoft 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, like the only way I can explain it from like the last thing I've seen is like, you know how J.K. Rowling says just like all this transphobic stuff and has been canceled many times? He's very similar.
Okay.
So Microsoft, I guarantee, wants zero anything to do with it.
Okay. That answers a lot for me.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
I don't know the full story. Might be worth reading into it, but
yeah, no, I'll have to check it out.
He was the original creator. That's why people will still refer to enchanted golden apples as notch apples.
All right, there we have it. Boss MC Builds, YouTube creator, builds crazy giant buildings over on YouTube. Definitely give him a check. But I mean, here's the thing. That adds a whole lot of fuel to this fire. Because at the end of the day, I was under the impression, and I'm like, okay, why doesn't Microsoft just self-fund this? Why doesn't he go to Microsoft? But if he's canceled, and it's to the level that Boss is saying, then I mean, yeah, Microsoft definitely doesn't want to do that. Mojang probably doesn't want to do that. So he's going to have to do it on his own. And it's going to be interesting. You know, and I also thought it was interesting, like you said, it's not a graphic situation. It's maybe more adding more depth and more adventure to the Minecraft 2 game. But, man, you talk about breaking news. I think this is the first time breaking news has happened here on the channel and adds a whole lot. It makes me wish we did this show live. If we did this show live, I could bring more people on, phone them in, and have this conversation as we go. But anyway, Minecraft 2 officially announced, entering development. Don't expect it 2025. Don't expect it 2026. Don't even expect it 2027. It sounds like this is very early preliminary stages, and it's going to be probably self-published by Notch. But anyway, breaking news of the day. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me this week and for watching this week's episode of the show. Until next time, we'll see you in the next video.